So Monster's project has been really, really diverse. There's 4 scenes. One is an underwater scene, so there's these sculptural objects, which again, doing the earlier work with Pascal has helped to develop a skill set that works with these. But Monster sent me a load of clay models, basically, for the 4 dioramas that she wanted to show. So it was actually, again, it was a material thing, copying clay to glass, trying to capture certain qualities that she had in the clay objects was quite a challenge. So, for example, for making the buildings, I actually used clay molds to blow into, which was, again, I talked about conventional and unconventional methods, and that's quite an unconventional method of producing glass objects to blow into clay molds. So, people have done it before. I've done it before with various things, but it was one of those ideas that suddenly came to me. And as soon as I produced them and she looked at them, she was, really, really happy with the finish, because it really did portray that sort of like clay object, even though it was in a different material. It seemed to work really well, so that was a real positive. These objects we would call free blown. They have got blown components, so it's free blowing and sculpting, adding hot pieces of glass to another glass object and building the sculptures as you go. The buildings were a mold blowing project, really, so I would build wooden shuttering and then line that with clay slabs, which I'd really, really multiply textured, so that when you blew into them, it would pick up that texture, which was kind of a translation of those clay models that I'd been sent at the beginning. So that was the great thing about that, as well as it does allow you to make multiples. So, you can make more than one building from the mold. So, the mold does deteriorate after a while, but that then adds more texture and kind of helps with the whole process of trying to copy that ceramic look. The colour application, there's a plethora of, I could talk about it for hours, the different types of application. But a lot of the work shown here, these are actually powder coated. We use clear glass as a base material, and then in order to colour that, we can do it in several ways, one of which is to cover it in a glass coloured powder, which then gives you the guise of a brown. For example, with this, if I was to smash this, you'd see that there was a clear inside and just a tiny layer of colour on the outside. The squid is slightly different, so it's got an inner cased colour. So what I've done there is I've used on the inside a solid bit of white bar. You then cover that in clear glass, then go into the red, so that when we open that up, the white shows on the inside. So there's, that's another example of a different sort of colour application. These ones are also powder coated. Funnily enough, these have got quite a funny story behind them, because Monster originally wanted a sandstone look. And so I used this colour and then sandblasted it, and it kind of gave a very sandstone look, but she was like, too flesh-like. She said, it's too flesh-like. And then she said, what's that gold one? And I said, oh, that's it before it was sandblasted. And she said, I love it. And we have them all gold. So, it's one of those sort of slightly happy accident, really, I suppose. But again, it's about pleasing the artist, having the artist approve of what you're doing, the approach that you're taking and everything else. And so, again, I talk about unconventional techniques and things which you find yourself doing, because that's what's going to feed the project, and that's what's going to give you the result that the artist wants, which is the most important thing. This particular commission isn't all hot work. It is in the terms of using heat, but so these are glass making, glass blowing, glass sculpting, but there's also some much smaller details which have been lamp worked by Ayako Tani. It allows you to work on a small scale with lots of details, working over a hot torch. Very skilled, very finely done, and they're going to add another dimension to all these objects. So again, a really great experience, where you're working across disciplines. It's not just hot glass. There's lamp work involved as well, and then there's communication between you two as makers or facilitators and the artist, a three-way conversation, so that the objects fit together and the objects work together to tell the story that the artist wants. So also adding to talking about the processes involved as well, so with the lamp work, the hot sculpting work and the mold blowing, 3 of the scenes actually have a sandcast floor as well, so we had to sandcast tiles to give a really, really textured bottom. They're going to be shown in large cases, and so I had some of these slabs, and when she came and had a visit quite recently, she put them down and said, oh, I think I want them all to sit on these. So what we've done is we've cast floors for each of the cabinets, which gives some texture. And, you know, that's a case of pouring hot glass into a sand mould, texture with various objects. I used some sort of rocks and various other pieces to really, really give it that sort of like lovely texture, underwater texture, if you like. And then everything will sit upon those. So they almost work like carpet tiles, you know, and make them to fit around an object. So yeah, another process altogether.